Evening all, how are we? Oh, what a lineup we've got tonight. Warriors of Attraction is here with a panel discussion, shall I say national discussion, because we've got Florida, we've got Texas, we've got Queensland, Australia, we've got a few others. So I'm going to start with, we've got a song. Obviously, I don't hold the rights to this song, but someone does, one of my guests. So I'll share it now, and please share this live as well, because you'll enjoy this. So I'll share my screen now, and we'll go from there. It's called Forever.
I'm feeling a certain way I can't explain. Hey, my life is on a chain, out of rain. I can't explain. It's like I'm falling from the sky. Can't seem to do it right. The world is all messed up, but I'm holding tight. The nights come too fast, and always seem to last. I'm drowning from this pain, and I'm begging to get back. There's always time for real. A broken heart can heal, but one thing that I know, this just can't last forever. I'm feeling a certain way I can't explain today. I promise never leave your side. I'm broken when I see your eyes. It's hard for me to know it was me. It's something that I realized. It took me a second glance to understand the pain in your hands. I'm praying that someday we may have a second chance. So play me a song I'll sing. I'm a fighter in the ring. The mirror tells me lies as the dark is whispering. You took me to the dance and let me hold your hand. And one thing that I hope, this just won't last forever. I'm hoping time will heal. It's something that I feel. Don't forget that dreams are real. Dreams are real. It's like I'm falling from the sky. Can't seem to do it right. My world is all messed up, but I'm holding tight. The nights come too fast and always seem to last. I'm drowning from this pain, and I'm begging to get back. There's always time for real. A broken heart can heal.
let's bring on my co-host, Andrea.
Hey.
Hello. How are you?
I'm doing good. How you doing?
I'm doing fine. What a song, eh?
Yeah, that was a great song.
I
I
know.
especially like those last words. The last words, a broken heart can heal. I love that.
Exactly. Well, get your paper ready because I'm going to share my screen again, and we're going to do our weekly motivational video called, and it's going to tie in with our topic tonight about processed foods due to our mental health. And we've got some
Yes,
brilliant guests, aren't we? And it's actually called Choice.
I love it.
So, yes, let's do this. Let's do this.
Years, I've looked in the mirror every morning and asked myself, if today were the day of my life, would I want to do what I am about to do today? And whenever the answer has been no for too many days in a row, I know I need to change something.
Because it starts as soon as you open up your eyes in the morning or whenever it is that you start the day. As soon as you open up your eyes to greet the day, you enter into consciousness. It is at that moment that your creativity is at its most powerful. Right there and then, you have an opportunity to steer your thoughts and your emotions in the direction that you want them to go, not in the direction that they're telling you to go.
Your time is limited, so don't waste it living someone else's life. Don't be trapped by dogma, which is living with the results of other people's thinking. Don't let the noise of others' opinions drown out your own inner voice. And most important, have the courage to follow your heart and intuition. They somehow already know what you truly want to become.
The way I went from the bottom to the top is one day I went all in. Are you hearing me? All in. I made a decision. I left my job. I stopped playing video games. I stopped watching TV. I stopped listening to me. I stopped eating certain things. I stopped doing certain things. I made sacrifice. I went all in. And the problem with some of you right now, the reason why you ain't in your city field, the reason is because it's simple. You have not made a decision yet. You like a deer in headlights. You like a squirrel in the middle of the road. You back and forth and back and forth and back and forth. And I'm telling you, once you make a decision and you go all in and you say, I ain't quitting till I get there. I ain't giving up. I ain't giving in. I'll do whatever it takes. I'll do whatever it takes to be successful. And when you make that decision, when you look you in the mirror, when you tell yourself that, look, I'm through. I'll do whatever it takes. I guarantee you, that's the day your city field begins to happen.
Make a choice. Like, you just decide what it's going to be, who you're going to be, how you're going to do it.
My mom wanted me to be a truck driver because that would mean I'd make $24,000 a year if I went to Truck Masters, and that would be twice what my father made. And she thought that would happen, but something inside of me said, I don't want to drive a truck. There's something else that matters more to me, and I decided I was not going to go for money instead of passion.
If you died today, what dreams, what talents, what abilities would die with you?
You know what, Andrea? I think we should just crack on.
Well, let's crack on.
Hey, we've had a lot of clapping in the green room, haven't we? So, yeah, let's do this. Let's do this.
Okay, so I'm going to put my poem away.
Oh, you don't need to.
Let's go with the show.
All right, okay. Okay, let's do it.
I can do a poem anytime. Let's get our guests in here.
Let's do it.
Hey, everybody.
Hey.
How are we all?
Adam, you have really stepped
Fabulous.
up the show. I tell you that much, boy. You have really come into your own, boy, with graphics and everything. Looks great.
I know. Hey, you have to, don't you? Like I was saying to my kids earlier, because my daughter wished me luck for tonight, and I'm like, I don't need luck because I'm already good at what I do. But do I feel like I can get better? Of course I can.
There you go.
That's the attitude you need. Yeah. But you know what? I'm going to start with Kai because obviously she's brand new here on the Warriors. So. Kai, a little bit about yourself. Like, who are you? Where you tuned from, and everything like that.
Yeah. Thanks for having me. I'm honoured to work with you all. This is a beautiful space and a beautiful cause. My name's Kai. I'm from Queensland, Australia. My background is that I'm a qualified and experienced naturopath. I've worked with over 2,000 families to infuse natural healthy eating habits into children at an early age. I work with a lot of weight loss clients, demystifying the whole industry and infusing some honesty and integrity into $1 billion, basically scam or rip-off. So what I do is work with people from their conscious and unconscious emotional background. So what we do online with the programs is that we have a deep dive into our emotional drivers. So our emotional drivers affect what we eat, and what we eat affects our emotional drivers as well. So what we're doing is unpacking our habits, why they're there, conditioning, what's happened in the past, how we can move forward in a healthy, natural way that helps the whole person holistically. So we're not just looking at a certain aspect of a person, we're looking at their whole entire being. So it looks at the nutrition, their health, their lifestyle, their activities. So we come together and design everyone's perfect life. So we start with the end in mind and work our way down and a path forward.
Absolutely. Wow. Well, you know what? I'm going to add two things to that. Firstly, thank you for getting up so early. Thank you. Secondly, when I actually told you that we were going to do this on last week, it was, and you're like, I want to be part of it. Let me be part of it. So I'm like, come on then, let's do it. Yeah, that's how eager Kai was. She wanted to be part of it. Let's go. It's like your attitude, Andrea. Just get it done.
Yep. Love it.
Exactly.
People here.
I know. Welcome, Charles. How are you?
I'm good, brother. I'm good. Thanks for having me back again.
I know. You can't get rid of us easy, can you?
That's okay. That's good people. You don't want to get rid of.
Yeah. Tell us a little bit about you then.
Man, I'm all over the place, but I'm just having fun with life right now. It's but you know, obviously for the last couple of years, I've been a film and television producer and health advocate. I produce amazing shows that air on major networks that are health related, whether it's diabetes, cancer, rare diseases. You know, we're getting ready to shoot another season in November in Costa Rica and bringing on some of the biggest people in the space. Everyone from Dr. Ken Berry, Maria Emmerich, Dr. Ovadia, Kelly Hogan, and we're going to be using carnivore as a way to carnivore lifestyle as a way to see how it has affected people in a very positive way. I think, you know, kind of in line with what we're talking about as far as Kai's talking about and just overall health. A lot of people have success with carnivore, you know, lifestyle, staying away from the carbs and the sugars and the processed food and so on and so forth. And it's working. You know, last season we used keto as a way to reverse type 2 diabetes, and the success was unbelievable. And you know, we're just having some fun and creating some great content.
Absolutely. And I know you can't stay because you got a nursery or a school behind you.
I've got kids running around. We're out here just enjoying a little bit of Orlando. I just got back from Costa Rica like 2 days ago. But
Yep.
so yeah, so and one of the things that we focus on too as well is mental health. Obviously, every series that we have mental health experts, because a lot of people are suffering from food addictions, and a lot of people don't even realize they're suffering with food addictions. I myself suffer from a food addiction. So it's one of those things where we have to kind of address it, be real with it, and figure out how we can change it, because it can be detrimental. What we eat, can affect our health mentally, physically, spiritually, emotionally, and there are great people who are doing great work and making change. So
Exactly. Welcome, Jeff Ash. How are you?
I'm good. Here from Houston, Texas.
I know. Nice plants in the background as well. Are they organic?
If you call it an 8-foot by 10-foot green screen organic, then yeah. Yeah. No, this is not the view from my office by any means. I wish it was. I'd be facing the other direction probably, but.
I bet you want it to, though, don't you?
Yeah. So I'm a nutritionist and personal trainer, and certified in intuitive eating, and that's the approach that I use with my clients and helping them to heal their relationship with food. So I probably come to this discussion from a little bit different perspective, in that we focus much more on how people eat and how they relate to the food rather than the specifics of what they eat. And so we come at it from a different starting point. So we address why it is that people are struggling with things like eating late at night or emotional eating, not so much, we need to stop eating this particular food or that particular food. And what we find is that over time, as they start tuning into their body's internal cues and signals, appetite, satiety, hunger, satiety, fullness, satisfaction, and then energy levels and all of those kinds of things. And we find that you tend to gravitate toward those foods that make you feel better. And you do so not because someone told you that this is good, this is bad, but it's because you discover that on your own. And so it's a little bit different approach, but it's very effective in really helping people, especially people who really have struggled with their relationship with food, since childhood.
Absolutely.
Yeah, do you think that, because we know the carbs and starch and sugars are addictive, and that can drive you to run out in the middle of the night, 2:00 in the morning, to eat something. So do you think that, and I love your approach, because obviously you have to start somewhere, but that also contributes to behavioral issues too as well.
Yeah, that actually would be a great discussion for another time, because we could get way off on that one, but around food addiction and whether it's even a thing. The research is there's not a real strong support for addiction in the same sense that we have drug addiction, for example. It doesn't mean that you don't feel addicted by any means, because that certainly is. But what we find in like the eating disorder and disordered eating research, literature, and practice is that typically the addictive traits that people have with food are often related to restriction rather than the nutrient content of the food. And so we actually find that people feel addicted to these carbs and sugars like you're talking about, but as they heal their relationship with food, they find that it wasn't the particular food, it was the restrictive mindset, the good and the bad view of food in general. And so then they can now have these foods in their house in abundance and eat them whenever they feel like it, but not all the time, and not feel controlled by it. And so it's a really, really fascinating thing to look into. And it's an evidence-based approach. And there's a number of, I may even bring up one of those papers that specifically addresses intuitive eating in the context of mental health. But that'd be another whole discussion over there.
Oh, yeah. Yes.
Yeah.
Jeff Berger, welcome. And actually welcome to the team as well.
Thank you, Adam. It's a pleasure to be here. Thank you again.
Yeah, most welcome. Yes, and a little heads up for everyone. Jeff's will be premiering his short next week, so look forward to that one. So yeah, tell us a little bit about you.
Sure. So first of all, What is mental wellness? It's everything.
I want that top.
This is something that I stand by, and my mantra is mental fitness is the new physical health. So I reside in Cape Coral, Florida. I am a certified holistic mental wellness coach. I do also have a certification as a health and integrative wellness coach. I'm aligned with the only holistic mental wellness company that actually focuses on the microbiome. The microbiome is the gut-brain-heart axis, and it is a science that's disrupting the health and wellness industry because 90% of our neurotransmitters and hormones are created in our gut. And I had my own journey with mental health. And through this process, I've reversed my type 2 diabetes, lost 60 pounds, came off of 5 medications, and reduced stress, anxiety, and depression that was at a 10 plus for decades down to a level 1. And to be transparent, I'm also a two attempted suicide survivor. So this journey has really brought me full circle to doing what I'm doing today, doing what I'm passionate about. And what I do is I'm really helping wellpreneurs who are on that path of burnout to getting to vigor in 90 days or less. And this is something that I'm passionate about because I left corporate America being burnt out and wanting to do something different and something that would have an impact. And to address the addiction on the foods here, I wanted to mention this because I do have an ebook that it's about how to eliminate stress without RXs. And in there, I talk about the foods that are addictive because these food companies that go out to chemical preservative companies look for chemical companies that will create a preservative that tastes good and is addictive. And this is something that most people don't know. These chemicals are destroying, but we'll talk about that later on. But that's what I'm doing, and it's like healthy guts, healthy guts, healthy mind, healthy gut, healthy butt.
There you go. So Jeff, and I'm sorry, my mind is slipping. It's good to see you, brother.
Good to see you too, Charles.
But so wouldn't you agree? Because once again, if those foods are addictive, even when we're not eating them, we're thinking of them, right? Because like I said, I've seen myself, and you know, I'm big into health. I make shows on it, and if I slip off, I'm 2 o'clock in the morning. I'm running to 7-Eleven, and I'm going to get some beef, and I'm just like, dude, what is wrong with me? I remember one day I was picking up my daughter, and she wanted to get some food from this place. It was like forget what it was. So she wanted some wings or whatever like that, and they make some Philly cheesesteaks. And I'm driving. It's almost a 45-minute drive, Jeff. Wow. And the whole time I'm thinking, fighting myself. No, I want to get it. No, I'm not going to get it. No, I shouldn't get it. No, I'm going to get it. No. And it literally 45 minutes. And it wasn't per se the food that I was racing for. It was the addiction of eating this thing. Yes. And in 45 minutes, I could have said no. And I said no, yes, and I ended up getting it. So it wasn't even per se this tasty thing. It was something inside my mind that I had to fight.
Exactly, and this is where the microbiome, the gut-brain-heart axis health, is playing a super huge role when it comes to mental health, because our gut is really the root cause. It's the mainframe of our human, I call it the body temple. It's the mainframe. It really controls the signaling between the gut and the brain. And what's happening is people's neurotransmitters and hormones are being altered by these chemicals. And over time, what I've experienced in the 4 years that I've been doing this, I've fallen off the bandwagon every once in a while. But when I do, I get the reaction, I pay the price. And as time goes on, I find that I'm pushing more and more food away that I used to eat, because I was eating this stuff for 40 years. And it doesn't happen overnight. It's a lifestyle change. And as you go through that lifestyle and make those changes on a small incremental basis, then you can basically, I feel that Many people are now starting to eliminate those bad foods that they were addicted to, because not only is in their gut that they want to taste it, but it's also in their brain.
So, just to jump in there, when you mentioned about this signal between the gut and the brain, would you say that's connected to reverse psychology? Like, for example, if I say, think of a pink elephant or something like that, automatically you're going to think of a pink elephant. So, would you say that's like that with food?
Yeah, I mean, it definitely is similar to that, but instead of going for, the French fries, switch that thinking to, broccoli or cauliflower or carrot, something that's healthy, instead of the French fries that, have trans fats. And anything with trans fat definitely impacts mental health, and especially memory loss.
Yeah. What are cases like in Queensland, Kai? With
It's
processed
shocking.
foods? Yeah.
It's shocking. I have clients that are addicted to eating a whole block of chocolate in one session, like binge eating. And, they'll say to me, why am I overweight? Why have I got this issue? But what we're doing is looking at the emotions. It's not necessarily food, because what you have to do is work with the emotions. If we just take away the chocolate, they replace it with something else because of the addiction. They're so heavily, and it's affecting their whole hormonal system. As we say, everything is interconnected. So our gut, our hormones, our neurotransmitters, even our nerves run from our brain right through our whole body. There is physical connections.
Yeah.
So you absolutely have to work at the emotions of why are people doing this. And when we're getting to the bottom of things, it's usually they're not feeling loved. It's all directly impacting on the emotions, and the emotions are then impacting what they're eating.
Yeah, I want to touch on Andrea and Kerry's show from last night, because they were talking about like bottling emotions and stuff like that, and which obviously touched on self-harm. Would you say like eating too much processed foods, or like binge eating, whatever, that can be classed as self-harm, couldn't it?
Absolutely. It's all definitely interconnected. One affects the other, so it goes hand in hand together. So what we need to do is look at the whole person holistically and saying, why are you making these decisions? It's like, I explain the body like a car. A car needs fuel, but not only fuel, it needs intricate timing of a spark plug. You can't just have fuel in a car. So it's the same in our bodies. We need the right types of fuels. We need our hormone system. Like, you need to repair the whole hormonal system as well. So everything, like the biome, you can't heal the body without healing the biome. So that's the first place to start.
Yeah. What do you think, Andrea?
So Adam,
Well, we're talking a lot about addiction.
It's breaking up a
Go
little
ahead,
bit.
Jeffrey.
no, go ahead. You finish, and then I'll hop in afterwards. I wanted to make a point from what Kai was saying.
Okay, thank you. I'm hearing a lot of talk about food addiction. And, yes, yesterday I was on the show, Carrie, and we did talk about food addiction and how that can be a way of harm yourself. But we're sitting here talk about addiction, and my thing is food addiction, but we were talking about how processed foods actually mess with your mental health. So I have questions about that. How do you all see it?
Yeah, well, from my perspective, from the intuitive eating perspective, because I have a traditional nutrition training background also, and so intuitive eating is not the only approach I've ever used or my only background. But from that perspective, a lot of it comes from the eating disorder world. And with binge eating in particular, this is one where what we see is a lot of this comes back to a restrictive mindset. So we call it the binge restrict cycle. So you restrict yourself from particular foods because you believe as a core belief that they're bad or that you shouldn't be eating them. They're naughty for whatever reason, whether that was ingrained in you from childhood or whether you've learned that from something that you've picked up on social media or whatever. So you restrict yourself and restrict and restrict and restrict until you can't restrict anymore, and then you binge on it, and then you feel bad, you feel guilty, you feel shameful about it, and this ties into the mental health aspect. And then in response to that, then you binge, and so it's this cycle that occurs, and it can really damage people's mental health. And so from that perspective, even mechanistically, if certain foods may not be ideal for your mental health, I think it's important to look at it from the holistic point of view that Kai was talking about, the entire person, figuring out why it is that they're binging on this. Because many people, for example, will binge on an entire bag of chips or a whole block of chocolate, like you mentioned, and it has nothing to do with the food itself. It's actually a mental health issue where they are seeking comfort, seeking pleasure in food itself. And if you took away those foods, they'd find some other food to binge on. Now, obviously, people don't typically binge on broccoli, but they do tend to gravitate toward these other kinds of foods, and probably for some of the dopamine response that you get from that and that kind of thing. But just thought I'd throw that little tidbit in there also.
Do you think it's also, because once again, when we do these shows, we see real life changes, real time changes, just like you guys do. And I even know for myself, at times it's lack of discipline and self control, and these things play out in other ways too as well, right? So if you're not disciplined in one thing, you may have a dirty house, or you may be addicted to sex, or you may can't stop yourself in certain ways. So I know for me, being able to, and I'm right where you and Jeffrey are at, and Kai, everybody at, is that once again, when I do this, it's not so much about the food or what I'm going to eat. It's more of that thing, and when I do eat out of line or out of character, I do pay that price, right? Because when I eat those carbs, I feel immediately terrible, and so I can't say, right away. I don't care what it is. It's one of those things where I see the effects of what I've eaten almost immediately, and I don't want to do that. I don't want to go down that road, right? Because we know what carbs and starch and sugars and things like that can do to us, right? That's why people are suffering from diabetes, hypertension, cholesterol issues. Some people have better body chemistries than others. They can tolerate certain things, but I'm sure Jeffrey lost weight by eliminating some of those things. And as soon as you take that bite, and now you're back to this addictive thing, and I find myself, it's like one bite, man, I'm ready to take 2 bites, 3 bites for the rest of the week. I'm fighting myself not to. Just got back from Costa Rica, and I tell you, I slipped up, and it wasn't terrible, but it was one of those things where I took that first hit of a drug and kept going back. So I know that, how do we address that? That type of behavior.
Yeah, Charles. So everybody's bringing up some really great.
It doesn't have to be addiction. It doesn't have to be addiction, is what I'm saying. What I'm saying is, I have a list here. People think the diet soda's white bread. They think that's good for them. It's not an addiction. It's just those are some things that can cause some issues inside of your body and your brain as well. And what happens is the sugar and processed foods, they lead to the inflammation throughout the body and brain, which may contribute to mood disorders, including anxiety and depression. That's where I'm coming from.
Yeah.
It's
Go on,
not
Jeff
about the
Berger.
addiction of food, it's about what you put in your body, right?
Yeah, go on, Jeff.
You're absolutely correct, Andrea. The thing is that people don't understand that, number one, there's over 10,000 food preservatives in our food. These are man-made chemicals, and they destroy the gut lining. When the gut lining is destroyed, it creates more of the bad bacteria that we don't need in our gut. And that bad bacteria signals to the brain, and that's where they talk. They communicate through the vagus nerve. And this is, Charles, where that communication link is, going back and forth. Is it an addiction? Is it, why am I doing this? So those chemical preservatives, and these food companies know this. They know that these chemicals cause, depression, anxiety, stress, so forth and so on. Not only are the food chemicals that are in the preservatives that are in our foods, but it's also the pharmaceuticals. The pharmaceuticals are destroying our bodies at a very, very slow rate. And my opinion, we're in a system here in the United States, and I'm getting the same feeling from my colleagues across the world now that I've expanded, is that we're in a broken system that they want to keep us in managed illness and not managed wellness. Okay. And it's all about pharmaceuticals. But the bottom line is there are plants out there, indigenous plants, that do the same thing, that will help repair and mend gut-brain anomalies. And we need to utilize these plants because they address certain elements in the gut, the brain, and the heart. And it's amazing science. And that's why I'm so passionate about this, because the more I read on this, the science is showing it's the chemicals in our foods. It's the pharmaceutical companies that are taking control and want to keep you dependent on pharmaceuticals. And we need to get back to the root cause and address it from a holistic perspective, if you will, and utilizing those plants that are.
So what do you think of this comment below? Then you got.
Before you jump into that, I gotta go, guys. But I do want to keep in touch with everyone. Maybe we could all, of course, I know Jeffrey, and love to meet you, Jeff, and Kai,
great to meet you.
and Andrea, and Andrea, and let's stay in touch. You guys rock, man. You're doing great work. Keep it up.
Yeah, please share this as well. Please share it.
I will. All right. God bless. Be good.
Thanks.
Friend request.
Right. Anyway, back to this comment. What's your views on it, Kai?
Basically, what's happening with the system and how the diet directly affects mental health is that, as you were saying, Jeff, is that we've got this toxic overload in the system. So once the lining of our gut and our intestines is broken down, you've got toxicity going straight into the bloodstream. So that's in there. There is so much that can be done, so much. I believe that each client also needs to be dealt with individually. We can give a blanket cover of, your prebiotics, probiotics, your liquid chlorophylls. They're really great. You can tip that into your water. That helps to reduce some of the stresses, like doing a cleansing program, like an internal spring clean quite regularly, I recommend in these days. Even our water sources. There's studies now that are saying that there's such incidences of the female pill in our water systems now that it's basically not being able to filter out 100%. So
you're about fluoride, aren't you? Fluoride?
No, that's different. That fluoride is used basically fluoride isn't good for the brain either, but that's just used to cleanse the water. It's another form of chlorine. basically.
But it's horrible for the body.
Yeah, horrible. So, having good, clean water, eating market fresh foods, even growing little bits of our own foods ourselves, your chlorophyll, cleansing programs. There is a whole wide variety of herbs, beautiful supplements, even there's a lot of amino acids that help with cleansing the system too. So good quality proteins from good sources. There is so much that can be done, but I believe that every patient needs to be dealt with on a case-by-case basis. No two bodies are the same.
Yeah.
As far as the U.S., I'm going to talk about U.S. because I know this company is banned from most other countries outside of the U.S., which is Monsanto. And they have a chemical called glyphosate. And glyphosate is a chemical that's in Roundup, which is a pesticide. And glyphosate in 1974 was patented as an antibiotic. And I think back to 1974, now we're at 2022, and this has been used in our crops and the wheat and on all of the farmland. And this has been eating away at our guts. And now it's coming out in the last 2 to 3 years where they're finding that glyphosate has caused cancer in people who are consuming foods. The FDA allows X percentage of glyphosate in kids' cereals. And it should never be, it should be 0%. It should be eliminated. It should be removed, and it should never be approved at even an X percentage. And we wonder why we have the problems that we do with kids' diseases, even type 2 diabetes in early, in teenage kids. It's really, it's very frustrating and annoying. So, yeah, I mean, those are some things that people just aren't aware of, and they need to do their own due diligence. And this is what I'm encouraging is when my doctor wanted to put me on a 5th medication, I said, why? And she said, well, you're having complications from the other 5. I said, well, who's to say I'm not going to have complications from the 6th? So I said no. And that's when I took control of my own health and start doing my own research. And this is what more and more people need to do. Not knocking away from, I mean, am I knocking Western medicine? Doctors were sent to medical school because the system was set up by deep-pocketed people, and they were taught about pharmaceuticals. That is the new medicine. Well, what happened to ancient Chinese? What happened to Ayurvedic medicine? What happened to herbal medicines? Those are thrown out the door. So we need to get back to our old sciences that we're working and that we're safe and really productive for people to thrive again.
Yeah, before I bring up any more comments, Andrea, your mum's here. She's saying she can't see her comments anymore, but I see them here. Like, she just put that. Like, she's done the research and she buys organic stuff, which is brilliant. Like me, I do. Like, I've got organic compost, and what I do is, fair enough, I buy supermarket stuff, which is rubbish. And then I let it go out of date, and then I regrow it in organic compost. So I've got like potatoes, lettuces, broccoli growing, all herbs and stuff like that. And since I've actually changed my lifestyle, I've lost 1 stone 4 pound in just 72 days.
Yeah.
That's what I did because I gave up. Yeah, because I gave up alcohol, caffeine. Yeah. See, it's been over 3 months since I actually touched a drop of alcohol or caffeine or fizzy drinks or anything like that. Have I been? Do I admit? Have I been tempted to jump at them? Of course I have, but I've chose not to. Like right now, I'm drinking lemon, so that's what it is.
Water.
Awesome.
And of course, I'm drinking my wonderful Egyptian licorice tea. And if you put some cloves off in your tea, these are great things that I learned from childhood and from my mother and from my grandmother. We come from indigenous ground. So we're on ashwagandha tea as well. because it's good for gut health and it's good for the body.
Yes.
I try to do that. Thank you, Adam, because I have stopped also drinking caffeine, and I have
Good.
also stopped drinking soda. And when you talk about addiction, you all, I was addicted to Pepsi, and if I didn't have it in my house every night, I felt like I was going to go crazy. That's not the case anymore. Following Adam's lead, I have given up soda, and I'm more on the teas and water. And we have to be careful too, because it says fruit juice. I did my research. It says the fiber in whole fruit fills you up and slows down how your blood takes in energy without that fiber. You're just drinking nutritious sugar water that can quickly hype you up and bring you down just as fast. That can leave you hungry and angry. Hangry is what they said. And that won't help anxiety and depression. Eat your fruit whole when you're thirsty. Drink water.
How do you feel now?
Diet soda's okay.
Andrea, real quick in regards to soda and
go ahead, Kai.
Stuff is that corn syrup leads to depression, anxiety, and cognitive decline.
Yes. Go on, Kai.
How do you feel? How long have you taken out the sugar and the pop from your diet?
Not to me or Andrea.
It's been about 2 months now.
Yeah.
How do you feel now?
Yeah, it's been about
how do you?
I feel wonderful. I have to tell you, I do. I feel my mind doesn't feel foggy and stuff. You know what I mean? I feel free. My legs don't ache. I used to have problems with my legs aching and stuff. I'm older, so but at the end of the day, I've noticed those things clear up in me. I don't feel depressed. I think it does bring you down. You know what I mean?
I'm glad you mentioned that, both of you.
Feel that way.
I'm glad you mentioned that, because I used to drink about 6 to 8 cups of coffee a day. And I was depressed. I was anxious. I didn't want to do nothing. I'm going to say it. I neglected the shit out of myself and my surroundings. And that's what I did. And I was losing sleep. Some nights I didn't even sleep at all, because I developed insomnia. And that's probably linked to my trauma as well, traumatic past. But now I've given up all that crap. I wake up a couple of times, but not as much as I used to, only because I want to drink, that's all, but nothing else. Trauma, what trauma, I say? What trauma? Because now I don't ache, I'm less depressed, I'm ready to kick ass.
Awesome. Because the thing with sugar is, it gives us this massive high. Now, every time we give ourselves an artificial high, it doesn't matter how you do it. Like, you could have too much yoga, for example. So everything needs to be in balance, right? Yeah. So every time we give ourselves a massive rush of high, what happens as a result? It's the crash.
Yeah.
And that's the thing with the diet. Anything artificial, whether it's a chemical, it could be sugar. You could do it with natural products as well. That's why certain products are banned for good reasons. But every time there's a massive high, there's a massive crash. So the best thing to do, all of us for ourselves, is do our due diligence and incorporate into our daily diets, and even each meal that we're consuming, is ask ourselves the question, is this serving my mental health? Is this going to serve, or is it going to negatively affect our mental health? Is it going to try to create balance? And everything's about balance. So is this going to balance me? And I find it fascinating over the coffee. Like, I've been in lots of seminars and webinars. I'm up at, I got up at 4 o'clock this morning for today. And everyone's like, oh, did you have your coffee? No. And I'm fascinated of why people think it's that powerful. They're giving their power away to a product. And it's not...
It doesn't serve the value.
Yeah, it's not powerful in a productive manner. So what we're doing is artificially creating a high and giving ourselves a massive low.
Yeah. Go on, Jeff Ash.
Yeah, and I think that's a good point about the highs and the lows, and I think it's important. You know, I've talked some about how a little bit different take on this, which is more of the how to eat rather than the focus being on the exact what to eat. And so in the how to eat, and this is stuff that we'll do with people with type 2 diabetes or pre-diabetes, where they're trying to control their blood sugars, but at the same time without asking them to restrict or cut out the foods that they enjoy. Eating, they may enjoy sweets, and so we find a way that we can keep those in the diet and in a way that's going to still serve their body well. Because there's nothing wrong with having some sugar. It's not a poison or anything like that. I mean, our body runs on glucose. Ideally, that's our preferred source of energy, and so all of these carbohydrates become glucose once they get into the system. But you can add to. So I like to take an additive approach, and I think this is something people can think about too. Is often we find our snacks being a handful of chips, or we give our kids a handful of goldfish crackers and a piece of fruit or something like that. And when you stop to think about it, it's not that there's anything inherently wrong with that, but it's all carbohydrate. There's no fat, there's no protein, there's no fiber. And well, there is some in the fruit, but if you just rethink it and say, if I add some protein to this and I add something that's fibrous and add a little fat to this too, that's going to prevent those massive spikes. It slows down gastric emptying. It slows up the absorption of the carbohydrate, the sugar, whatever it is that the starches into your bloodstream, so that your blood sugars don't go, spike out the top and then drop immediately afterward. And so often we can still, without taking this whole cold turkey, just yanking everything out that we find enjoyable, we can modify the diet by kind of approaching it from an additive approach. And so that's what that's what I've done in my own life. I still have my sweets. I probably have something sweet several times a week at least. And I incorporate that into my day where I know it's going to serve me well. I might use it around my workout time when I know I'm going to be burning more glycogen or that stored carbohydrate, since I'm doing something more high intensity. Or I might add some protein, and again, instead of a piece of fruit for a snack only, or if I'm in the mood for some chips or something, have the chips, and I might have some cheese with it too, or some yogurt along with it, or something that provides protein and some fat as well, to kind of balance that whole thing out. And so I think that's something to keep in mind too, especially when we're thinking from the perspective of impact on mental health, because one of the things I think that often gets overlooked is that health is so multifaceted, and you guys both have talked about that holistic approach. And it's really easy to get focused in on, I got to do all this stuff for my physical health and all of the neurons and all the mechanisms in my body. But what about the social facet of health, and the psychological and the emotional and even the economic, especially talking about all of these, cutting out certain kinds of foods that are readily available to some people where these others are not so readily available or affordable. And so lots of factors like that can come into play to really help different people in different circumstances navigate their mental health and overall well-being.
Absolutely. Yeah, we've got a couple of posts. Obviously, we'll go for Andrea's mother first. She said she wants to gain weight rather than lose it. What feedback would you all give on that?
I would, in a traditional setting, I would be asking, I'd first look at health conditions. Is there an overactive thyroid at play in there too? So what emotional aspects in there? Definitely proteins are the building blocks for all growth and repair in the system. I'd be looking at what quality proteins are in, your breakfast, lunch and dinner. As you said, adding in an additive approach. This is the specific use for the additive approaches. Food combining as well. Foods that slow down that gastric emptying again. Definitely. So is there a lot of stimulants in the system? Is there a lot of stimulants in the lifestyle? I would look for balancing hormones as well. So as I said, everyone's a unique case and everyone needs to be treated individually and holistically.
Yeah, I would say that you'd want to dig deeper. In addition, those were great suggestions there. Definitely dig deeper and find out why. What was behind this drop from 195 to 122? It could be that you weren't eating. Maybe there was depression, mental illness behind that. It could have been a physical thing. My wife has lost 80 pounds this year, not because she was trying to, just due to health issues. And it's taking a toll. And so, but interestingly, in our society, there's so much of a fixation on having a smaller body, and that when you see a smaller body, the assumption is that it's healthy. And when you've gone from a larger body to a smaller body, then people look at that as, oh, you've changed your health. You started doing more health promoting behaviors. And what can happen is that you start to get that praise. And so if you're struggling in that area and you're losing weight, and maybe you're losing more than would be healthy for you and your body, people are praising it and they're saying, oh, you're looking great losing weight. And so it can actually cause you to continue down that path. And it could be that you're doing this in an unhealthy, unsustainable way, that kind of thing. So it's really hard. I mean, those are just some thoughts when, we only have one sentence to go on here with the with the background. But as far as gaining weight, that's something where, that's where if you're starting to listen to your body's appetite, your hunger and fullness signals, that can help you to get to a place that's going to be ideal for you as a unique individual, because our bodies aren't supposed to be the same size. They're going to vary, within a range. And so some people, a thinner body is sort of ideal for them. And then somebody else, maybe a little bit bigger body, is going to be more ideal for them.
Yeah. Jeff?
Yeah. So
I think what you just shared, what you shared, what my mom just said, it's the COPD. That's a lot of it that's going on with my mom. I just
you just don't feel like eating, probably.
Right. And she's stressed out because of the COPD, and which raises the cortisol levels and basically reduces eating. Ty and Jeff in regards to their approach, but it's all about getting to the root of the cause. Mm-hmm. What is the underlying cause of this? And it's all about asking questions. What are they doing from a physical, as far as exercise, nutrition, stress management, and even a supplementation perspective of getting a really good overall picture of their current health, and why is this happening, and how can we reverse engineer that to get them back to the state that they want to be comfortable with.
Yeah, so basically what we're all trying to get at is, I think, Stella, you need to do a little bit of reflective practice in basically questioning what's going well in your life, what's not so good, and what's your desired outcome. Am I right? Something like that?
Yes, I agree. I'm a daughter, so I'm going to say I second that emotion. And she is, with the help of, family and loved ones. That's being able to put some more weight. And tomorrow she's to come over and we're going to have some dinner for my son's birthday. So being with family and, going on, changing, like she said, changing how we look at things and how we move, more balance of good and positive things. And like you said, Adam, getting those negative things out of there, and she's doing that. So,
right. Question for all of you.
I'm here.
Question for all of you, which will help Robert here. What's the difference between omega-3 and omega-6, Jeff Berger?
Oh boy, omega-3 and omega-6. So omega-3.
I knew he was going to do this.
So and I'm going to pull it up because Omega-3 are fatty acids, okay? They're omega-3 are the oils, and these are the fatty acids that are polyunsaturated fatty acids characterized by the presence of a double bond 3-atom way to terminally methyl the chemical structure within our own body, because we create our own chemicals within our body. And what we need to do is we need to nourish those chemicals with the right nutrients. And this is with omega-3s, omega-4s, and omega-5s and 6s. So, but the omega-6 is, again, a fatty acid. And this is a family of fats found in some plant oils and seeds that we get. So when we're doing, like we've got almond oil, we've got coconut oil, and then we've got the avocado oil. And the avocado seed is very, very nutritious in regards to our overall health and wellness. So we need a certain amount of, being a diabetic, I've been trained that it's generally about 10 grams of fatty acid. The fats that are in our foods that help us, maintain a healthy lifestyle. Too much fat can result into insulin resistance. But that's the omega-3 and the omega-3 and the omega-6. We need those. We need those to survive and feed our body temple, just like the plants do, the indigenous plants that help with the neurotransmitters, the cells, the viruses, and the microbiome or the microbiota that's in our gut. Hopefully that helps.
Kai?
Yeah, with omega-6s, it's important to remember too that not everyone has the enzymes to break them down. So if the individual is lacking that enzyme, we really, and that's most people of the population. So science, there's been a lot of studies and science into this recently. So most of the population are deficient. Now, we do need a ratio in our diets of the omega-3 to 6s, and that's quite important, but a lot of the commercial fish oil supplementation is full of mercury too, which is not great. It's a neuro inhibitor as well. So with every single cell of our body has a lipid layer on the outside. And that helps with our nervous system as a calming mechanism too. So if you had an electrical wire and you pulled off the plastic casing on the outside, you'd electrocute everything and zap anything that it touched. That's how our nervous system works as well. So the omega-3s helps to put a nice coating around our nervous systems, which is vitally important for mental health. So really, really important. And the long chain fatty acids, where I see a lot of work could be done is olive oil is fabulous when it is in its raw form. So when it's heated, which is a lot of your restaurant foods and definitely your fast foods, that's all your oils that are basically chemically charged to be neuro exciters as well. So yeah, it's really important that with our oils we have them, and even when we're cooking our fish, if you cook your fish for a long time, that's sort of heating the oils too. So your salmon, your best way to get your omega-3s is in sushi dishes. So it's not been chemically altered, it hasn't been heated, fresh from the Atlantic. There is some good farms, but you need to do your due diligence into there's good and some average farms out there for fish farming too. So, but really important for mental health. And nuts and seeds, usually definitely higher in your omega-6s, but really good quality oils in nuts and seeds that haven't been. I know California, I think, uses a lot of chemical sprays with their nut production, so it's just something to be mindful of. But
Jeff Ash, question from me then. I used to have a lot of greasy foods, but I've given up oil now for good, and the best decision I ever made. But what I've done is I've replaced it, but I'm curious. I've picked up Frylight. I know you can't see because my green screen, but it's Frylight. What's the difference between that oil and this?
I'm not familiar with that specific one. I mean, it really depends on what the ingredients are on it. You can, one of the cool things with oil that you can do too is, I mean, you can buy it like you did there. I mean, have a cooking spray that's just convenient. But if you use it a lot, or if you prefer a more, kind of a less processed kind of an oil, or something that you have a little bit more control over all the ingredients, they have some nice little oil pumps that you fill up your oil, you pump it up, and it puts air pressure in there, and it sprays like as an aerosol, but it's just pure oil. So you can choose what oil you can use: avocado or olive oil, or whatever oil you decide you want to cook with, whatever you like the flavor of, and that kind of thing. So that's something. I don't know about that specific one, but yeah, those are some good thoughts on omega-3s and 6s from the others. And some of the benefits of omega-3s, is what's highlighted is, and the research can be a little bit mixed. So you have to watch. Anybody listening, please watch the headlines, because the news media likes to hype up things. So a new study will come out and they'll overhype this one paper that was just observational. They don't look at the methods. But in general, we see that omega-3s are beneficial for like blood pressure and triglycerides and plaque in the arteries and heart rhythms and heart attack, reducing risk in these kinds of areas. And so there are certainly some benefits. And one of the other things that I do want to point out too, that we didn't mention, is that omega-6s often get a bad rap, that if your omega-6 or your omega-3 to omega-6 ratio is higher, it isn't as good. So meaning higher on the omega-6 side, that can be detrimental to health. But in reality, and then often what happens then is, again, people take that restrictive mindset and they say, oh, I need to cut out the omega-6s, when in reality, a better way to go about it is you can improve that by just being more mindful of adding in more omega-3s. So as Kai was saying, sushi is a great option, and just more fish, oily fish throughout the week, depending on how you cook it. Again, like she was talking about, that can impact it, but you can certainly cook fish in ways that maintains the integrity of it and the nutritional value. And one of the cool things with sushi, and I'll just end on this part, one of the cool things with sushi is it used to be very much of a something that your typical average person didn't eat a lot because it was not as accessible. But so many of the grocery stores now have it at very reasonable prices. So if you enjoy it, you can have an entire meal of sushi. And my wife and I do this for $6 or $7 a person, and we get an entire meal of this sushi out of that, and add a couple of sides to it, and it's very satisfying, and it's a good quality. Decent enough quality meat at a grocery store, so you can kind of benefit from some of these things that were previously not accessible to certain economic.
Because people have been following me. I've actually started making smoothies for me and the family. But what I've done is I've actually replaced ordinary semi-skim milk with a green top, and I've actually replaced it with I bought almond milk, oat milk, and I've actually bought coconut milk as well. Mm-hmm. So, and you know what? It's the best. Yeah, I love it. I really do.
Flavor. Yeah, I like almond milk in my cereal. I like just the added flavor that it brings in there. It's just a nice little touch.
Right. Well,
I just want to throw in real quick about the sushi and any kind of fish. Make sure that it's not farmed fish, because farms put in steroids and antibiotics and pump up the fish to make them really fat and juicy. That's a huge practice.
That's right.
In many farms. So if you can go wild, that's the best approach.
Yeah, and there's my wife just joined us. She don't like coconut milk.
It's acquired.
It is required. Well,
Oregano oil is good for you too. Oregano oil. It helped my daughter get rid of warts forever.
oh wow, wow.
She
Right.
didn't have to
Well,
go get- she didn't have to go get them burned.
yeah. Any last words, you
Good
lot?
for you.
Any last words, Kai?
Anyone that wants to ask questions, reach out to all of us. Any of us, one of us, we're all here to help. So, and we all passionate, we all thrive, love the conversations. Thank you all. This has been fabulous, and we're all here to help and support each other.
Yeah. Well, I hope you come back at some point.
I will. Invite me back, I'll be back.
I will do. Yeah. Yeah. Same with you, lads.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Well, you know where I am. You can reach me in my DMs.
Yeah.
My departing thought is I believe we all should be living an abundance and optimum wellness physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, and financially. And last but not least is mental fitness is the new physical health today.
Yes. Any last words, Andrea?
I just want to say I loved all of our guests today. I learned a lot about nutrition that I will also take in. And I want to say, everybody, white bread, yes, it's highly processed white flour. It's made from, it'll turn that blood sugar. So be careful eating white bread, please. You can have toast, but use your whole grain wheat bread.
Yes, exactly. What? My last is Warriors ain't got rid of me yet because I'm back on tomorrow at a later time at 10 p.m. UK when I've got America and Australia back, where we're going to discuss what does the future hold for mental health. There you go. So,
Love it.
see you later. And you'll see Jeff next week for his show. There you go.
Perfect.
See you later.
I'll be tuning in, Jeff.